been, I don't know, places hacked and our information exposed, and we still use our personal information to get in to those websites. And blockchain has a big role to play in this matter. So I would like to see and invite you all to see what Vikram has to present today about the development they are doing from Hypermine. And I will present Vikram, of course. Vikram Anand is Hypermine co-founder, and before that, he was almost 4 years working as full stack developer. He defined himself as an opportunistic and smart worker with experience in the design and development of website and web applications, with the aim of making technology that works for people. Hypermine is a technology and research organization dedicated to building trust and transparency in the real world. And he's going to present us HyperSign, a cryptography-based single sign-on solution that enables users to securely access applications, web apps, and as well as the apps or dApps without providing their access credentials, usernames, password, and other information. So let's go with Vikram presentation. Don't forget, once again, to send your question through YouTube chat and your chain names associated. Vikram, welcome to be here. Thanks to being with us. And stage is yours. We are going to be playing the presentation.
Okay, so let's understand how HyperSign works and the detailed architecture of it. So on high level, user goes to a web page where he sees a login button, login with HyperSign. He scans the QR code and then he signs the message which was there in the QR code, and the digital signature goes to the HyperSign auth server, which actually talks to a smart contract sitting on blockchain, where it checks for the verification of the digital signature and user gets authenticated. So that's the very high level. I can show you a quick demo for it. So this is a website, and as you can see, it has a login button, login with HyperSign. So I will click on it, and I have the mobile phone with me. You cannot see that, of course, but I will use the mobile phone to scan. Yep. So the user is authenticated, and as you can see, this is my email address and this is my public key. You got it, right? I love it. So I mean, that's on very high level. Now let's look at the layered architecture a bit to understand a bit more in detail. So in the bottom, what we have is a blockchain and decentralized storage. Now blockchain holds the smart contract, of course, for validating the digital signature, for managing the DIDs, digital identifiers, and all that. And we have decentralized storage, which is kind of optional. I mean, okay, but before I go in any of these, I would like to say you that, again, this is a disclaimer, which I always do to save myself. So a lot of things which I'm going to tell you now is still in the process where we are evaluating, where we are thinking like how we can fit this solution in the scope of single self-sovereign identity, and we are getting through the concept of self-sovereign identity. So it's not very concrete idea, but yeah, I will let you decide. Anyways, so you have a decentralized storage where optionally user can store his user information, of course, in encrypted form, which nobody can take because the information gets encrypted on the phone and then it gets stored. It's just kind of a storage that we are giving. Now on top you have an authentication layer, or rather it's an authentication server layer, where you have a license manager and you have authentication server which manages the infrastructure for all of the things, which like processing, managing the infrastructure for companies to be able to register themselves, manage license and users and all that, right? And then you have app servers, which will integrate the hypersign with them. And on top, you have authenticator application, which is nothing but a mobile apps, which I don't know. I can show you. Okay, I cannot show you. Anyways, so high level, this is it. We'll go to the next diagram, which tells you about the contract. Basically, the hypersign is built or to be built with these three contracts in mind. Like uh, you have identity manager contracts, you have license manager contract, and we have hypersign token manager contracts. So identity manager contracts is the core of everything, which has the responsibility of managing the digital identifier, registries, and all that. And it also has the stateless method, which verifies the digital signature. Then you have a license manager contract, LMC, which is required for the company to be able to enroll with hypersign. Now, this license manager contract can be like thought of as a state channel, wherein the companies can decide to pay for the hypersign services as per number of API call that he is trying to make, or as per number of times that this stateless function is getting called, or number of times the user authenticates. So, I mean, again, this is again in thought process. So that's the license manager contract, and then you have a hypersign token manager contract, which actually takes care of the economy of within the ecosystem. Talking of the economy, the hypersign the economy is very simple, as in a service provider or a company, whenever, so there is a concept of endorsement score in hypersign, which actually gives companies a kind of trust on the data which is user is sharing. So that trust is actually being maintained using hypersign endorsement score on the blockchain. It's a kind of rating that user attribute will have. Like I said, we do not store any user information, right? So user can share anything or everything with the company, but then company has to have some ability to be able to trust on. Of course, they can verify it, but then before, so to be able to get more trust on the attributes which user is sharing, they can look for this identity score, sorry, endorsement score. So hypersign with the economy says that a company can earn token by endorsing a particular identity attribute, and they can spend token for availing the services which hypersign provide, which is nothing but authentications. So that's pretty much it. Now I will talk about in some more detailed flow of user, which is called nothing but a user create profile. This is nothing but how a user gets onboarded on the hypersign first. So user opens the mobile app, which we are calling it as a authenticator application, and he enters its details and saves it, right, and press the save button. So basically what happens in the save button is we create a profile, private key and public key, and the private key gets stored in the mobile device, and also it encrypts the user's data and stores in the mobile phone itself. And the encrypted text along with the profile public key goes to the hypersign server for creating the profile, where we store the encrypted data into the storage, decentralized storage, and then we hash the data and gives us endorsement score of 0 for the first time. Also, we create the DID, digital identifiers, and all this information are kept on the blockchain. And then user is able to see his endorsement score as 0 when he creates the profile and on the profile page. And that's how the create profile flow works. Next is, now user have created a profile. What he can do is he can go to a website to register himself. Now, one thing to notice over here is the registration and login flow is kind of I have kept the two different diagrams, but they will kind of work together, as in the company will know that okay, this user is not exist with me, so it will redirect to the registration flow, otherwise it will redirect to the login flow. So that kind of concept to make life more simpler, and so that user should not do registration and logging in 2 different steps. So yeah, so user goes to the web page. So this is the application, and user uh, creates a application. Opens the application in the browser. What happens when the moment you press the login button or login as hypersign is challenge request goes to the authentication server, and the challenge comes, and a QR gets generated with the challenge and the application ID. The QR gets generated using an SDK, and which user is able to scan. So if user is the first time of this application, a new authentication keys gets generated. This is again a new set of key pair. So every application will have a different key pairs, which is different than the profile key pair. This ensures that user should not be able to track on the anywhere, because if 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 people know that he's using this application, which is, then it's not, it's kind of hiding or revealing his identity, which is being taken care with using different key pairs for different applications. Anyways, so one more thing to notice here is that in the registration flow, what happens that the application sends the app ID challenge, and it also sends something called user data access policy. Now, what this user data access policy is uh, different application needs different kind of information from user. For example, airline service might not need information of his address, or like its home address, or maybe his educational details. He does not need that, right? It only needs email address and phone number. That should be sufficient for him. So there is a concept of minimalizations in identity, right? User. Anyways, so what user will do is user will press the allow access button, and when he press the allow access button, remember in the create profile he already saved some of the information. So he will be given a checkbox kind of page where he can check box, okay, say, okay, here all of this information I am allowing access to, and a digital signature gets generated using the auth public new auth keys, which was generated for this particular application. Along with that, another digital signature gets generated with the profile public key, or profile private key rather, and those information goes to the application server. Application server first stores the user data, because the user data never comes to us. So, and then it mm, forwards the request of user verification to our auth server, wherein he sends the profile public key digital signature, actually both the digital signature, to the auth server, and auth server validates this digital signature. So basically, first it checks whether the user exists or not using the profile public key. Profile public key is nothing but the DID, remember. So it checks, it validates that, and then sends the response to the true or false, as in to the application. Now the application server understands that, okay, this user is the right user, but he does not still have not validated the user's attribute which user has shared. So that is being taken care by the application server. We do not worry about that. So all of the things like whether his email is validate or not, whether his address is correct or not, that is a responsibility of the application server. They do it anyway, so that's their responsibility. So that's the concept of how registration works. Now, okay, I'll go to the login, right? So almost same thing. You go to the QR page, press a button, and then the challenge gets generated. And this time, user UDAP policy need not to go to the authenticator, because the registration has already been done. So it only sends the app ID and the challenge, which gets signed by the auth private key, and the digital signature along with the both of the digital signature gets comes to the hypersign auth server to be able to validate on the blockchain. And then if the digital signature is valid, the user gets authenticated and goes into the application number redirects the user to the home page. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. I know there are a lot of confusion. Even I am confused in many of these places. So I am ready to discuss all of this, like how we can improve this system and all that. But this is the high level that I can come up with. Uh,
Awesome. Thank you, Vikram, for that presentation. If you like, please come up to the stage with me to see about some questions we have. Are you there, Vikram?
I think Vishwas can join in because Vishwas is the one who was presenting. So
Okay,
yeah,
don't worry.
he's the brain behind
Vishwas?
all our products. So I'm
yeah,
just
hi.
Okay, great. Welcome, Vishwas.
Yeah,
Uh, Okay, well, I have a couple of general questions on. I always like to ask how is to work with Eternity, how is to work with the tools we have. How's the overall experience on that?
yeah. So uh, so the core infrastructure that we talked, right, like all the smart contracts, definitely they are going to be built on the Eternity blockchain. Apart from that, you remember I talked about the license manager smart contract,
Yeah.
which could be actually kept in the form of state channels, and where the companies will be able to pay based on API uses. Remember, in the last session, I have actually taken the session of paper API call demo. So, I mean, I'm trying to gather all of these information and trying to see whether I can, what all other texts that I can make use of. Like I'm exploring the concepts of Oracle as well in this case.
Yeah, well, that was actually my following question about state channels and oracles. Could we explain in a few words? I know you already did a little bit, but to have a little more detail about the use of state channels and
Yes.
how's the status of that?
Well, so right now everything is in concept stage.
Mhm.
We have not yet built anything with respect to the state channel. I mean, the POC that we are showing it to everyone, it's not decentralized, but yeah. So because we are still exploring the space, right, and I think it will take some time for us to understand the whole tech properly. Now, coming to the question of state channel, like I said, the one use which I can clearly see from here is the use where, and that is what where this thing, the usage, the maximum usage of the application is going to be the management of uh, uh, like licenses, like number of API, how many number of APIs that a company's user is calling to us, keeping that record and deducting money based on that. So that is one use case that I can see in this application for state channel. I am still struggling, or rather, like not really struggling. I haven't actually explored the space of Oracle, to be honest. So I don't have the, like, I cannot answer the, like, where I can make use of the Oracle for now. Maybe you guys can give me some suggestion.
Okay. Well, you know how it is. There is a lot of green space on everything we are speaking, especially on what is about the proof of identity, the way we can use it
Right.
for mainstream, right? So
Right.
it's usual to have a phase where you are understanding the concept, understanding the technology, how it's going to impact to everybody else, because this need to be very easy for people and regular people without any technical knowledge to use. So
Correct.
it's normal to work through all that process. Let me check. Also about oracles, we have a very good starting point because of Superhero. At Superhero, we are using oracles a lot, so you can have a picture. Let me see what we have. What else? Another question we have. You have who is most likely to use hypersign? Where do you think will it find the most interest?
So, I mean, the vision that we have for hypersign is to be able to actually become a SSI kind of thing. So in that space, it will be for general user, but we cannot achieve the vision without taking small steps. So the small steps which we are going to actually take, like in our next 3-4 months, is my user would be mostly employees of companies. So I mean, that space, enterprise space, that we are looking into, because that's where I am feeling that we will get business. uh, the public space, I'm still very not clear that why a normal user will pay for anything. Like the moment you add this in payment uh, to a general user, you kind of lose. I mean, it's very hard for to to get into that B2C space, right? So we are not going into that for now.
Just adding on to what Vishwas said, so right now we are focused on enterprise just because we feel that this can fit into their overall single sign-on infrastructure. So if you see an enterprise right now, scenario is that you are an employee, you want to log into like their system where at least you will have to use Office 360, Slack, Salesforce if CRM is there, Salesforce or SAP. So to aggregate all this, either they will have an SSO where you just need to log in with user ID, password, and then you will be able to access all this application, or there is no SSO. So you literally have to log into everyone separately, right? So this is the current scenario. So what benefit we are giving to enterprise is that there is for authentication they are using two factor. What is that? The first factor is you need to add password, user ID and password. The second factor is the second two TOTP that comes in your mobile app, and that TOTP is actually the basically the public key infrastructure, that is to increase the security, because you see passwords are getting hacked and whatnot. So what we are saying to them, look, we can give you even better seamless authentication, because you don't need to have a two-factor to have a stronger authentication, right? Better security, I mean. So you can rely completely on public key infrastructure, and with the help of a stateless digital signature verification system, we are providing them passwordless authentication on top of their SSO. What benefit we are adding is that using blockchain technology, we have found out a way where for employees, for enterprises, integration is very important, right? So which blockchain, companies tend not to go, not to focus on that, because that is where honestly we will be able to help them. So in order for an enterprise to accept this, we had to figure out what all type of SSOs they are using. So some of them I can list to you guys, which I'm sure you might have known. It's something is called Active Directory by Microsoft. Second one is an open source IBM product called Keycloak. So our last couple of months, 6-month research was like how we can give a blockchain authentication, stateless authentication solution on top of this. So now with the help of an authenticator module, we are able to integrate with all these enterprises. So now I will try to connect this to how we will be moving towards a B2C market, right? So our idea is that first get enterprises as partners, and once we have lot of number of enterprises and they have started using this our authenticator app, so inherently this authenticator app is made in terms of self-sovereign identity, where the user have the actual control of their identity, right? So once we have lot of partners, automatically user will be able to use his identity in all these partners that are our partners now. So slowly we have that whole network effect, and then that's when we are planning to release a token to have a whole network system which can help in for identity. What benefit enterprise will get here is that with the help of our endorsement score, which is basically an aggregation of all the identity and a user holds. For example, you will have your passport or similar to that some identities in your country, depending on what country we are in. So we provide a score for each of these, like a digital signature score. And then if your partner company has already verified a user and you are also on the same network, so you can let go of the whole lengthy KYC processes. So this is the in future we would like to see our application going that way, but right now it's mostly passwordless authentication for enterprise. I hope I am able to give a basic idea about the product.
Oh yeah, yes, understood for sure. And you have a great path to walk yet, but still we have to start somewhere, right? Awesome. Well, let me check. I have one other question here from before, but I think it's for the next subject, so I will skip it. About security and traceability system. So I think it's more for the next panel. I have another one here. Will it be difficult to onboard traditional enterprises to use a blockchain identity solution?
Actually, Eric, thanks. A very nice question. And so you remember that my other video that I shared with you, which was how to install this whole infrastructure, which we later on we removed that and we shared with you a different, because we wanted to show how we are trying to use Eternity blockchain in our application. But the actual video was about how you can install passwordless authentication with using HyperSign open source code, right? So it takes only 12 minutes exactly for me to literally read the read from our GitHub repo and implement it in the Keycloak single sign-on infrastructure. Keycloak is basically one of the most open source single sign-on provider by IBM, and most of the enterprises are already using that. So you can almost take our it's like you git pull and then a Docker container up, and then create your app there, and then you can have multiple apps, as many apps you want, and all these apps will have an SDK, and automatically the whole SSO will start working. Similarly, there is something called federation, which is very important for enterprises. So federation is where your employee can access application of other enterprises, like your partner enterprises. And that's where I was talking about, like Slack and Office 360. These all need to be federated, and it's called SAML federation. So that part is actually kind of secure because that doesn't use password. It uses something called SAML protocol, which is already passwordless. So what we inherently give them is like the actual authentication, which was based on password. We remove that and give a passwordless. And then with using SAML, we can do the federation part. But we are definitely looking into how we can even add one more layer of security to SAML if possible, or remove SAML completely, because that's a very lengthy process to integrate. So for starters, we will give like already included SAML plugins for different applications such as Slack, Office 360, and Active Directory, all these things, so that whomever we are trying to sell it, they by just doing Docker container up, they will have all these features out of the box.
Nice. I think the question is, I mean, you explained about how to integrate and all those stuff, but the question is, it is really a very good question. The question is about, do you think that it will be, or how difficult or easy it would be for an enterprise to actually onboard blockchain? So if you look at this, right, how he talked about SSO and all that, right? HyperSign, if you think in this way, HyperSign at a core, it's nothing but a stateless function which does your digital signature verification. That's it. End of the day discussion. This is the core of HyperSign, and rest of the thing is just layers. But so now if you look at Keycloak will be on the enterprise scenario, and whenever a user wants to authenticate just for the digital signature verification, it will make call to the to us and hypersign. And hypersign is nothing but a smart contract which is deployed on a stateless a smart contract function, which is a stateless. So it will make calls to that stateless function just to verify the digital signature. So the truth or because the trust issues over there, right? So what is the trust issue that we are solving with the blockchain is whenever a digital signature which gets verified somewhere on some server, central server, how would you trust on that server that it is always telling you the right signature result? So that trust, that's a trust issue. So that what we have done is we have just taken out that trust issue and put it on the blockchain so that it can become a trustless. So this is where we are trying to integrate the blockchain and with the enterprise and telling them that, hey, see, this is where you need blockchain because this is a trust problem. Otherwise, you have to trust on a hypersign company or hypermind company, which you might not want to. So, I mean, so that is what we are trying to do.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. All the work we are doing is available on GitHub, right? People can access it and see it. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Until we have enough money to keep it open. So for now, we have 3 stages. The first stage is the developer and student version, which is active. But once we have those connectors, SAML connectors, then we will go. I mean, those code will not be public. For that, the enterprise need to pay. But whatever we have right now, for example, any developer who wants to just secure their application, all code will be open source. Just the enterprise part of integrating with Office 360 and Slack, these things might not be public.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you for the clarification. Well, I think we are okay. So I will thank you for being here, both Vikram and Wishwas. Thank you very much for your presentation and for responding all the questions. I invite you to stay here with us so we can move on to the next track. I will also to thank everybody that's in YouTube, seeing us, sending questions, supporting us. Thanks once again, and let's welcome Mary and Alex, who have great things to tell about exciting projects. So let's go to the main track. Thank you, guys.
Always excited to watch them speak. They always come up with very awesome topics.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Mary, Alex, stage is yours.
Hello, thank you very much, Omar. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 9th episode of Superhero League. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Mary, and I have my colleague, Alex Casas, today. We will be hosting this amazing broadcast, which has 2 very spicy topics. So on the one hand, we have Uruguay Can's project, yes, this new solution that they are releasing, which involves traceability on medical cannabis. So luckily we have the panel with many team members that are here to tell us the story, how we got here, and also we're going to have a very small live demo, so stay here for that. And you will be also able to ask questions to this panel regarding any concerns or insights you would like to have regarding this project. On the other hand, we have some great news regarding superhero fundraising this weekend. Yes, for Penny Dinner in Ireland. So Live Aid Virtual Festival is happening this Saturday at 4 p.m. And Leah and Owen will be joining us later on to tell us everything about this, how you can contribute, how you can buy a ticket, how you can help, right? And also what an amazing lineup do we have for that instance. But first, Alex will share with you some news about Superhero League. Alex?
Hello, everyone. First, let me recover for where I have just seen. It's so amazing. I want to thank the work that Vikram and Biswas have been doing with HyperSign, because this is just an amazing use case of state channels. There is a very unique feature of a charity blockchain, and I would encourage you all to have it a look and think in these awesome use cases, because just your imagination is is your limit. So drop in our GitHub, dig in it, because it's a really, really breaking through technology and possibilities that are really special to the Eternity protocol. And just to remember that now, from now on, we are live on YouTube and LinkedIn. And please, the participation is still welcome. So you can drop your comments, your thoughts, of course, your questions in the comment section. And remember that if you put your .chain name, you can still be tipped for it, because we want to reward people participation in these debates that we are doing. So nothing more to say. I think we can start with this awesome topic that we have today. It's like traceability and cannabis. So it's like, wow.
A hot topic. Everybody, they've heard the news. The social media is going bonkers about it, and we have the panel here. So I would like to introduce first Pedro Lago de Carvalho, shareholder at Uruguay Can. So Pedro, if you can turn on your camera and join us on stage, that would be great. And I would also like to mention Gonzalo Sobral. He was there from the seed phase, from the idea. He's the enterprise lead embassy of Eternity. So please, Gonzalo Sobral, join the stage as well by turning your camera on. We'll just wait a little bit for Pedro. And we have Juan Arrillaga. He's co-founder and project lead at InMind, and he's behind the solution working and this platform with multiple applications going on. So Juan, if you could please turn your camera on and join us on stage.
Hi, Mari.
Good. So I think Pedro, maybe he's having
I'm just having a problem to connect my camera, but I think
I see you, Pedro. Hi.
Oh, you see me? Hi.
Yeah, I see you, but never mind. If you have trouble with your camera, you can have your mic on, and you can answer over there. Now I see you perfectly.
Yes. So let's
start with Gonzalo. Yes. Please tell us how the cannabis traceability idea was born. I think it was 1 year ago, and it's already happening. And it was born in Uruguay. Maybe you can let us know also for the audience, about the legal aspects of marijuana growing in Uruguay. So the stage is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, about 1 year ago, we began with the idea of launching the operations of Eternity here in Americas, and it was decided that Uruguay will be the launch platform. Yes, and we were seeking for some kind of lighthouse projects from here that we can use the platform, the technology, and show all other part of the world the things that they can do with the use of blockchain in their enterprises. But when we will begin thinking about a traceability project that was related more in logistics, but that project don't seem to be so good or so perfect, and we began thinking in Uruguay what things people around the world were talking about Uruguay in press, and there were three main things. One was the soccer national team, yes. The other one was the former president, Jose Mujica. And the third thing that all the around Uruguay was the cannabis law. We have here a very particular legislation. Uruguay was the first country in the world that has a legislation that allows to produce marijuana for both uses. Medicine uses, medicine cannabis, and recreational cannabis. So you can buy here legally, if you are over 18 years old, cannabis at the pharmacy with no problem. You only need to register your name, and once a month you can go there and take 40 grams of recreational cannabis, legal recreational cannabis. And for on the other hand, we have this this production, a big production. There are near 20 companies working here in Uruguay related to medicinal cannabis. So we think, okay, this will be a good project. We can make traceability there. We can the Uruguay and the cannabis is in the map. So it will be interesting to work with this, show the technology, work on the A-Eternity platform. And this was the beginning. We make the presentation of this idea on September last year on Prague on Universe 1, and from October up to here we work on the project, and now it's a reality.
Well, so it's quite fast, right? You started 1 year ago, and 8 months later we have the solution, and we are sharing it with everybody here. So thank you, Gonzalo. I would like to know, Pedro,
Yes.
why did you decide to invest in Uruguay Can, become an investor? Which were the main aspects that made you feel this is a project that I would like to be part of?
Firstly, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be part of this panel, and thank you to all for organizing it. There was two main issues that made me look into UCAN, and they were crucial for me to invest. One was all the work that UCAN has developed until the moment I joined UCAN, in terms of understanding the business, in terms of markets, in terms of production. Because there was lots of noise in the market, especially with the Canadians, and the way that Canadians were growing medicinal cannabis. The other important thing was traceability, and in this case, the blockchain project that they were already started when I joined UCAN. And why it's so critical, because when you look to the medicinal cannabis world, one of the things that is difficult is traceability of batches. It means that, for instance, Novartis is doing a development in one medicine, and the batches change from 1 year to another, even knowing that they are the same supplier. Because if you don't have the same methods of production, the same seeds, you have different results. There are 130 almost types of different cannabis with different grades, different active ingredients. So it's very difficult to make sure that the product was the same. So traceability became a critical issue. The other important thing has to do with the fact that the market itself, it's still in the early stage of being regulated. So for me, the company that starts by having the traceability of the product through all the phases, it will be the one that will be better prepared for the future in terms of regulation and how the market will develop. So this was the two main issues for me in terms of looking into CAN. Of course, that as already said, Uruguay, it's been a very interesting player in the cannabis field, producing more than 100 tons this year. So it has been in the development of the industry. But these two main issues, the traceability and all the work that has been done, it's been great.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's going to be, like a value proposal on your product to have this traceability feature, right? Imagine you took an antibiotic one day and it works, and the next one it doesn't. That would be madness. This could happen with the CBD concentration, the cannabinoid concentration in marijuana. So this solution becomes vital for having a very safe and controlled atmosphere, and a lot of control on the products that you're going to be selling later on. So I think I've lost Juan. Are you there, Juan? Because I have a question for you. If you could tell us a little bit about this 8 months hard work on Uruguay Can solution for traceability. Were you medical cannabis experts in mind, or you became ones after working on the project? And if you can, we would love to see, like, after you answer the question, mini live demo to see how it works, because we have been speaking about this a lot, but to see it working, it's like what excites us a lot. So the stage is yours. Please tell us about how it was to build it.
Mary, thank you very much. Hi all, how are you? Okay, the reality is that at the beginning we weren't expert in marijuana, in medicinal cannabis, but we knew something about the life cycle of the growing of growing marijuana, but not in details, but also not all the life cycle that a marijuana plant or a lot of plants will have inside a greenhouse, okay? Because the main objective of this project was to have all the traceability of a lot of marijuana, of a lot of plant of marijuana inside a greenhouse, okay? In the beginning, in the cuts that are planted in small pots and finishing in the packaging, okay? In all the stages of this life cycle, the greenhouse operator collect all the important data, the dates, all the procedures that are applied in the lots, the treatments, the fertilizations, and all this is registered by the app and stored in the blockchain. Okay, so all the traceability can't be modified and can be checked always, because when you finish each step of the life cycle, all this information goes to the blockchain. Okay, and this was the process in order to know about the life cycle of the cannabis. Was with meetings with Uruguay Can, okay, in order to understand the life cycle of the plant itself, okay, and then all the life cycle that we have to trace inside the greenhouse. And this was our experience. Now I think that we are almost experts in cannabis traceability inside a greenhouse. And I will show you the platform, okay? The platform is composed by 2 applications and a back office, okay? The 2 applications, one of them is for the greenhouse operator, okay? He will use the application in order to collect all the data. The other application is for the laboratories that will buy the medicinal cannabis, okay, in order that the laboratory can see all the traceability using this app, okay? And the back office is will be used by the greenhouse administrator, okay? In the back office, the greenhouse administrator will create all the procedures and all the work orders that needs to be applied in each lot of plants in each stage, okay?
Great.
So now I will share my screen in order that you can see something about this. Okay.
Can't wait.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So I will begin with the applications. Okay, first. Okay, this is the login. I have 2 applications that it has the same look and feel. Okay. One is the operator and one is the laboratory application. But anybody will have both applications installed at the same time in the same phone. So I will log in both. Okay. This one is the application for the greenhouse operator. Okay. We have 2 tabs that in this one, en curso is on course. We have all the lots that aren't finished, okay? And here we have all the lots that are finished, okay? All the life cycle is complete and the packaging was made, so it's finished. When you go to a lot that is finalized, you can see all the information about it in all the stages, okay? There you can see all the life cycle that we are tracing inside the greenhouse. It's start in esquejado, that is the cuts. Okay, when you cut the mother plants and you put in the soil, in the substrate, and it's and in the packaging. Okay, in each state, okay, you can see the details. If you go, I will go to flowering, floración. Okay, and here I can see the general information about it, okay, the variety of the cannabis, when it starts, when it's finished. The irrigation is by, I don't know how to say goteo, but the irrigation is by drops. Okay, by drops, yeah. How many plants are per meter, the composition of the substrate, the pot size, and the location in the greenhouse. Okay, all this data was entered by the operator during this stage, and there we have meditions. Okay, these meditions, there is the humidity in the ambient, the temperature, the amount of light, the amount of irrigation. Okay, all these are graphs that the data will be collected by sensors, okay, but by weather sensors that will be inside the greenhouse. And in case the weather sensor doesn't work, the operator can add this information manually also, okay? And you can see in both cases the graphs, or you can change by putting all the list of measures that has been entered. You have treatments and fertilization. I will find another one that has information there, you know, that you can see it. Oh. One.
Because we need to explain that the next planting season is going to be June and July here in Uruguay. So that's when we're going to do the whole process for the first time in the platform.
Exactly.
So still there you have information about
it. There we have in this stage of this lot, we have that 2 treatments has been made. Okay, we have all the information about the treatment, which is the product, which is the composition of the product, the commercial name, which when was done, if it's organic or not, and the amount of product that we use in order to know about in order to know how much product we put on this treatment. Sorry. Also, we have the fertilizations that was made, and you can see all the information in all the stages. Okay. On the other hand, this is the app for the operator. Okay. When in June, when it starts again, the operator will create a new lot. Okay, he will put a lot number. He will select the variety, and if there are beacons, okay, available, he will select the beacon that is related to this lot. Okay. Now,
so very specific.
The lot is created, and the first stage is active, the cutting. Okay, I'll go to the cutting, and I can see the measures and the treatments for this stage. Okay, the measures is empty because we don't have right now the sensors, but the operator can put it manually in case he wants. And you can see that he put it manually, it starts to make the graph.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the treatment, we don't have any treatment because we create this one just now, but I want to show you the back office that will be used by the administrator of the greenhouse. So we are in the lot 32112. Yeah. Okay, I will go to work orders. Okay, I will select this lot. I will create a new order, a new work order. I will select the stage. Okay, cutting in this case. I will select this procedure, I will put a start date and end date. I will select the product, the measurement unit, okay, and the concentration. I don't know. I put something because I'm not sure. Okay, so I create this work order, and then I go again to this stage of cutting, and there you can see a batch that is the new treatment. I go to a new treatment, and I can see all the data that I complete in the back office, that the administrator complete in the back office, and you can see a start treatment button, okay? The start treatment button, the idea is when we have the beacons is that the operator can start the treatment if he is near of the beacon. If he is in his house or 5 meters of the beacons, it won't be possible to start this treatment. This is made to have more control, okay? Because we want that the operator start the treatment when he's in front of the lot, not if he's in his house and he remembers that he didn't make the treatment and he puts the button. No, we want that he's in the place, okay? So now I will show you the application. Sorry, Mary, I didn't hear you.
You want a warranty process, like being very certain that things are done the way that they appear on the platform. So that is exactly. Like something like to be super secure, both the company that is conducting the cultivation and also the buyer, right? The laboratory.
Yes, exactly. Because, for example, imagine that you have a lot of plants that one day you go to a greenhouse and all the lot is dead, okay? So the first question is why it is all the lot is dead. Okay, so I can go to this stage and I can see if the treatment was made, okay, or not at this date where it was planned, or maybe it wasn't made the treatment, and we will have all the information, and we be sure that if the treatment was made, it was made because the operator was in place, okay, not in another place.
Perfect.
Okay, after now I can, it's for demo purpose and I don't have beacons, so I can start and finalizing the treatment without having the beacon. But when I finish, I have to enter how much I used in the procedure, okay, of the product. Now we can see that it's complete and we can see all the information. After we complete all the information about a stage, and only when you complete all the information, you can finalize this stage, okay? Okay, now I can finalize it because I didn't complete all the task, okay? It's missing the location in the greenhouse. Okay, I put the location and I finalize the stage. Now the stage cutting is finalized and I can start with the vegetative stage. Okay. On the other hand, we have the laboratory application. Okay, this is the main view of the laboratory application. They have a QR scanner and a text box in order to put a lot number, and we have another tab that are in order that they can see the lots that are assigned to the laboratory. The laboratory can't see all the lots, only the lots that are assigned to them. So in order to assign a lot, I go to, in the back office, I go to the list of users. I search for the user that I want to assign a lot. I tap there and I search the lot that I want to assign. Only finalized lot can be assigned. Okay, I assign the lot, and when I go to the lot, I can see this new lot in the list. And I can see all the traceability, all the information that was collected in all the stages. And the laboratory has only the laboratory app and not the operator app has a button at the bottom, A Eternity, in order that they can see the A Eternity middleware explorer with all the information related with this lot.
Wow, it's, you know what? It's the first time I see it like that. I'm impressed.
Okay.
So the good thing is, so when you assign the lot to a laboratory, you don't need to disclose any unneeded information. They will only have the information that you sold to him, of the lots that you sold to that laboratory, and the rest of the information from Uruguay remains private, right?
Exactly. They all will only see what you want that they see. And for example, when you assign a lot to a laboratory, it will they will receive an email, okay, with they will receive an email like this one, with a QR code, okay, in order that if they want, they can scan the QR code, or if they want, they can search for the lot, putting the number.
Good. Okay. So thank you very much.
You are welcome.
It was really to see it live working. I can't wait for the June season to begin, and we have a lot of questions from the audience. So I would like to ask Gonzalo and Pedro to turn on their cameras and come back on stage. Maybe this question would be for Pedro. It says, I have a question for the Cannabis panel. Does it make sense from a business perspective to put all the details about the plants on the blockchain? I think this question was kind of answered regarding the privacy of the data, that only the buyer is going to see that data. But maybe, Pedro, you could answer this question.
Yes. Look, it makes sense. And basically because you want to make sure that we have a transparent system, that people can trace back up to the plant itself and can see whatever treatment was done, whatever work was done on the plant, how we grew it. So to make sure that if there is a difference on the medical side, the laboratory has the possibility to understand what changed and why one batch to the other there is a difference and adjust it. So the most important thing about blockchain for us is transparency and sustainability for future operation. So if we don't trace it back to the plant, it's only half of the system. It means that the lab will not be able to know the full information and adjust it.
Yeah, completely agree. There's another question that says, do you use IoT devices, Juan, to obtain the environmental variables?
Yes, we are going to use IoT sensors for weather to get the weather information inside the greenhouse. Yes.
But still, if they don't have the IoT sensors, they can still...
No. All the platform is prepared to use the beacons and the weather sensors, but this is not live because the sensors are not available yet. And in a second stage of the project, we are going to connect all this.
Good, great. There's another question. It says, what if I want to invest in this technology? Well,
talk with me. Gonzalo at A-Eternity.
So there's that. Do we have any other questions, any other insights you want to share, guys? Or we can give Alex
I have a question. I think we have a few minutes. And it's like, I'm wondering, I want you to know your opinion about if this solution can help collapsing the barriers in other countries to advance in cannabis normalization, both for recreational and medical uses, because I think it could be, and I'm really eager to see Uruguay Can in Spain before the next Uruguayan soccer player arrives to our league. That would be awesome.
That's good. I think this can help to for that stuff of the barriers. But I think one important thing in this is like legalization for one hand, and the other is the business perspective. Bank of Toronto is a Canadian bank that make finance so many projects around the world related to cannabis. They say that for 2025, the global market of medicinal cannabis will be of $200,000 million. So there's a very huge opportunity for any country in the world that can make this kind of law for this kind of use of the cannabis, the medicinal use of the cannabis, not the recreational, but the medicinal use, and this is the business part that is very important.
Look, I have a different opinion. I agree that it's important, and I believe that it's crucial for the demystification of cannabis around the world. If we look to what happened to other industries, and I came from a completely different industry from cannabis, where there was lots of barriers. People were not considering that industry to be clean, and the perception of the industry was not good. The same happened with cannabis now. There is a lot of confusion between recreational and medical, and it's always been seen as people related to cannabis as being drug dealers. In fact, that's more or less the idea. So if we start having traceability and people understand that this is a normal business like selling Coca-Cola, and that you have reputable operators, that you can trace the production to the plant, that everybody involved in the system are legal companies, that they have social corporate responsibilities, that they have all these things, we start demystifying the idea around cannabis as being like a drug from the 60s, where people only have cannabis to get high, and that's not the case. Of course, that is recreational, and that's one thing, and there is medical, but there is a legal business. We're not talking about illegal and having cash under the table. So these technologies will allow us to create to increase the reputation around these businesses, plus the traceability.
Pedro, I have another question. Which are the markets, which countries are the buyers of the medical cannabis, the main buyers?
Okay, the main buyers are in Europe, Switzerland, Germany, where you have the main labs and the ones that have been developing lots of cannabis, medical cannabis products. Everybody was counting on the US as a recreational market, and that's where Canada was growing and did not went very well because the market did not expand as they expected. But on the medicinal, it's the European countries. The problem is that the legislation varies from country to country. Some of them allow you 1% of THC, the other ones only allow 0.2%. And because it's not regulated and it's not equal in every country, you also have barriers that exist to sell across countries, which is another thing that needs to be solved. Yeah,
I understand. And another question that maybe you could answer, or Gonzalo, regarding the amount, today, is there available the amount of medical cannabis to satisfy the market, or it is something that needs further development?
Perhaps Pedro knows better the question. I think all the last harvest of cannabis here in Uruguay is sold about a year ago, and I think next harvest too.
Look, it will depend as well as the medical cannabis will develop in terms of the certification in each one of the countries. Because one of the things is you don't have many doctors around the world that are allowed to prescribe medical cannabis. In some of the countries, like for instance, I believe UK, you only have a handful of doctors that are allowed to prescribe these things. As long as the markets grow and there are more products in terms of medicines for painkillers and other things, of course, that the market will continue growing. At this stage in Europe, because of COVID-19, there is a shortage of medicinal cannabis for the laboratory.
Thanks a lot, Pedro, Juan, Gonzalo. I'm impressed about this very interesting project. There is also like leveraging the unique features of Eternity, the blockchain, and I'm sure that we will be hearing some more news about it like very soon all over the world. So congratulations, really, really good job. Thanks,
Yes.
thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank
Now
you.
thanks to
Okay,
you.
thank you guys.
Now it's
Bye-bye.
time to
Thank
go
you.
for the thank you, Juan. The next topic, because it's like in the past episodes of Superhero League, we have been talking a lot about COVID. We have been talking about the leadership in self-isolation. We have been talking about the future of work, about acceleration of the transformation of our society, privacy matters, fake news, that people is suffering. I mean, there is a lot of countries in deep recession because economies have been frozen, and a lot of people is not even able to cover their basic needs, and charities are like overwhelmed, like their accounts are emptied because of the needs of a lot of people. So we just decided to take action, and that's why we are going one step further to take this action for people. And we organize with our new social media platform, Superhero, a live fundraiser called Live Aid that will be happening tomorrow to support Cork Penny Dinners. And here with us, we have Leah Stultrager from the Superhero team and Owen O'Driscoll from Penny Dinners to talk about it. So please, I'm quite excited to know more about this. Turn on your cameras. The stage is yours to know about this amazing initiative.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you, Owen. We cannot see you.
Yeah, sorry, I actually have a fairly poor connection. 1 second, I'm going to see will this work. 2 seconds there, no, because I have to get a phone. Does that work?
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you doing?
Hi,
how are you
Owen.
getting on, guys? Are you well?
Hi guys.
How's it
On the
going?
stage,
Good to see you.
everything, Leah and Owen, please tell us everything about this that we want to know. The stage is yours.
Yes, definitely. Look, I'll start off. As you say, there was a big need for charities in the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. Charities have been pretty much wiped out. I suppose we're seeing a new kind of era where we have people working on minimum wage, considered to be essential workers. The world is changing pretty fast. Here in Ireland, we have a strong tradition of giving into like poor boxes, coin boxes, and stuff like that. So that kind of has pretty much stopped here. And there's a charity here quite close to my heart. They kind of feed a lot of people in the city on a regular basis. And we decided to have a live gig and get as many people involved and put on a good day for a good cause. So yeah, I think we've got six acts coming in over the course of the day. So and it's $11, so make sure you get your ticket.
So I'd like to just explain that Owen is actually one of the ambassadors for Eternity working out of Ireland, and brought to attention that in Ireland, he told me a very compelling story that actually I got immediately, and I would like to share. And it was just that when you go into stores in Ireland, they have jars. And I remember this from the States. I don't see it so much in Germany. But they have jars on counters so that when you buy something, you have change, you can put the change in and it goes to charities. And because of the isolation and the distancing and the closure of these stores, the corner stores to the big stores, the charities no longer are collecting in the ways that they have for many, many, many decades. And so that it's directly affecting the charity money for all different types of charities. And then on top of that, you have charities like Cork Penny Dinners, which went from, and I was reading online, but when he was telling me this story, they went from doing maybe like 100, dinners to 2,000 because the need skyrocketed at the same time when people were social distancing. And there was less and less money coming into those charities. So that was a really compelling story to me of something that I could visualize and I could very much relate to from a very tangible sense. It's not unseen. It makes a lot of sense. So when Owen came to me with the idea for us to do a benefit concert, I thought it was fantastic. And one of the reasons why I'm really excited to talk about it here is that Superhero, we launched Superhero last week, and this will be our first sort of fundraiser on the platform. And one thing that Superhero does that's interesting is that it doesn't take a fee. So when you're looking at other platforms, you're looking at paying a 2% to an 8% platform fee, sometimes more. On top of that, you're also talking about paying a percentage to the processing, meaning however you get that money in and out. So by the end of it, the charities are getting minus up to 15%. They're only getting 85%. On top of that, with the administration and so forth and so on, by the end of the day, that charity is getting very, very little. And the statistics are appalling. You can really look at how much is fundraised versus how much actually makes it into the charity and goes to the reasons that you're giving the money to begin with. And so what's interesting and kind of exciting is we're trying to disrupt that system. And with Superhero, 100% is actually going to 100% of what you donate is going to Cork Penny Dinners. And that's one of the reasons why I thought this was such an interesting thing to take on almost immediately on launching, that we can show this is a way to use it in a different way. Owen, can you talk a little bit about the curation, because that's all you?
Yeah, we've put together an interesting lineup actually. We've got some really good local acts here who are going to be starting off at about 4 o'clock, and then we've got some interesting acts. We've got Natty Whaler, who's played with Bob Marley and the Whalers. He's going straight in from Jamaica, and we've got Brad coming in from New York as well. After that, we've got 3 really cool DJs who are going to finish off the session for anybody who's kind of partying out in the garden, so they can continue on. We're going to make it kind of 4 or 5 hours of good, solid entertainment with some interesting acts, and hopefully get some interesting stories going as well.
So that will be happening tomorrow. Really easy to get tickets. We have tickets on Eventbrite. And long story short, we have 6 acts, 45 minutes each. It will be about 4.5 hours, 5 hours of really great entertainment that we can dance to together, even though we're isolated apart and afar. And that's pretty much our summary. So if there's any questions about how we're using Superhero to sort of disrupt the fundraising industry, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm sure Owen would be more than happy to answer anything about the program for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. It really seems super interesting. Just to confirm, how do we buy tickets? If you can repeat about how do we get tickets for this?
Yeah, so you'll find tickets on Eventbrite. If you look up corkpennydinner.eventbrite, you'll find your tickets there.
Good, great. And how much is the cost of the ticket?
Sorry, it's €11, and the full €11 will be going to the Penny Dinners.
So the full €11 goes to Penny Dinners, right?
Thanks to Superhero, yes, yeah.
Thanks to Superhero.
Great.
Otherwise, it wouldn't, because that's kind of the part of it. That the platforms themselves, again, they take money. So Superhero is stepping in to make sure that doesn't happen in this case, and will not happen on Superhero. So the interesting thing is that working with Superhero, you can actually do fundraisers, you can monetize your content, and you're not dealing with, we say intermediaries, but what that is a really big word. Because what you're talking about is everything from the platform that you're hosting it on, to the processors, to the admin fees. So all of those things start adding up. Whether you're a musician, whether you're a YouTuber or a writer or somebody who's fundraising, all of these things can really look at Superhero for a different model that is for users, by users, fully P2P.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you specifically about that, because some people tend to think that when it is for charity, for instance, those fees are not taken, and they are.
They are.
that's what's revolutionary about Superhero, and we hope as many people as fundraising there are can use it and make a benefit from it, because whatever they collect, it's for them.
The other thing I would say that's really interesting on Superhero, when you're on Superhero and you actually send a donation, if you send a tip through Superhero, you can watch it. You can see that it's going. Not only are we saying it's going, but you can actually trace it. It's on the blockchain. It's fully transparent and it's traceable. It's permanent. Nobody can change that. It's on that blockchain. So I think that going into what the potential is here, it has the potential to be a disruptor.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys, so thank you very much. We're definitely going to join tomorrow to enjoy this and maybe dance a little bit from our homes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, make sure it's going to be a great day.
Thank you, Alex, very much for being here. Dia, Owen. We see you guys in more or less 2 weeks, and we will have more news to share with you. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
See you tomorrow at the Live Aid.
Bye-bye.